Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here with us today. We're going to give our attendees a few more minutes to join. One of our colleagues will be joining as well and having a little technical difficulty, so we'll give him a moment to come on as well. So we'll wait about another minute or two so more people can join us today. Okay, so we have a few more people who just joined. And we have our counselors here. So we are on our webinar live today with you. And I'd like to just point out some webinar logistics for today. First, we'd like to inform you that we are recording this presentation. We want to let you know that this is a Zoom webinar, which is different than a regular Zoom meeting. As such, you may notice that this means as an attendee, you will not be visible on the screen, but we do know that you are still there. The only people who will be visible on the screen throughout this event will be the speakers and the panelists. And during this presentation, you will not be able to unmute yourself. However, you will be able to submit questions for our presenters and our panelists for us in the Q&A. So there's a Q&A button on the bottom of your screen, so you can take a moment to locate that now. There's no chat feature available to you in this webinar, and we will not be using the raise your hand button as well. So as the audience, you will not be able to view the questions from the Q&A when they are posted. However, as the presenters and panelists, we will be able to see them and we will address them at the end of the presentation. We will answer as many questions as time permits at the end of the presentation. And if at the conclusion of the event, there are questions that remain and we do not have time, we will create a FAQ format and we will post it on our school counseling website with this video, with this video. So let's get started in our presentation today. Again, I want to welcome you and thank you for being here with us on behalf of the Wilson High School school counselors. I'd like to introduce my colleagues here today. I am Jen Bonella. I'm a 10 through 12 counselor here at Wilson High School. We have with us Jacqueline Porco, Matt Rosen, and Dan Pompa, who will be joining us, but is having a little bit of technical difficulties. And Miss Pam Scott will be here as a moderator, just in case of any issues that arise with our webinar. So she's on here, but she's a freshman counselor, so she's not going to be with us as a panelist. So to start, just to give you a background on the junior seminar, and I will be sharing my screen to share with you our junior seminar page. We introduced the junior seminar in advisory to all the juniors on Wednesday, March 2nd. And they were all able to view the junior seminar video that we created. That is a guide and a way to kind of walk them through in a very organized, structured approach on how to get themselves ready and working towards their future post-high school planning endeavors in the process. And we really created this so that it could be a very organized and structured approach so that they can really have the tools necessary with our help in meeting with us, but really have those tools necessary so they can work through it at their own pace and go through the process so that they can be successful with going through the post-high school planning process. This is an exciting time for juniors. It should be very exciting. I know that sometimes I'll hear it's so stressful to think about post-high school planning. There's so much to think about. There's so much to do, but this should be a very exciting time. And students should be thinking about this, should be working with us, working through their process and being excited about this journey. And what I like to tell students all the time is that we need to go through this process in thinking about it as our own unique and individualized process, our own unique journey, because every student is unique. Every student has their own individual strengths, their own individual goals, And so I always tell them, put your blinders on, because during this time of the post-high school planning, you hear a lot of chatter. There's a lot of chatter going on. There's a lot of opinions get thrown at you. But this should be very, very personalized, because we are trying to help these students find their best fit, each of their own best fit. So we want this to be exciting, but very, more so just for each person, each student individually as a junior, as they walk through this. So what I'd like to do is I'm going to start now by sharing my screen. And I want to show you a few things. One being, let's see, let me share my screen with you if I can get to, nope. I'd like to share with you, yes, this screen. On Wednesday, March 2nd, when we shared the video during advisory, your students, all juniors, were also invited to Schoology access codes. They were given a Schoology access code so that they can go into the junior seminar page. And through that page, they each had their access to this junior seminar video and the junior seminar page, which is on our school counseling site. So I will now demonstrate that to you as well. So this is the junior seminar page that is on our junior, our Wilson School Counseling school counseling site. And I'd like to start by sharing that within the first paragraph, you'll notice that there is a checklist. This checklist is created so that the juniors have a very organized and structured approach when approaching this process. So you'll see that the junior seminar checklist is broken down into 3 categories. The first being to get started. The second, the junior seminar tasks, which there are 15, and then additional information. We created this so that the students can have something to either print out, possibly put on a board at home, put in their college folder, share with you at home, and they can start checking things off in a very organized fashion as they work through their tasks and their goals for post-high school planning. What I'd also like to share is that juniors, they can go through their junior high school page, the junior seminar page through their Schoology account, but they can also access the junior seminar page under the tab, under the school counseling site, under juniors. So there's a juniors tab, and they can also access it there as well. So the junior seminar page under to get started, I'm going to walk you through those pieces of information and those items. First, the junior seminar video that was shown in advisory is also located here under to get started. And that is there for them to view at any time. So if there's some information that they don't remember, they're always welcome to come back onto the junior seminar page and click here to review the video. Everything that we will be reviewing today is what we reviewed with your students during that advisory period. Secondly, we've reminded students to just take a few moments to just breathe, relax, be relaxed, be in the present moment, and we attached a mindfulness activity here to get started. I often will hear, as I said before, that students and parent guardians as well will share that this is just can be such an overwhelming and stressful time for them working through the post-high school planning process. And it doesn't have to be. And like I said, if students can take the process and break it up over a period of time at their own pace, they could really be walking into senior year having done a lot of the legwork and being ready then to really kind of enjoy their senior year and then kind of finish up their application once they're walking into their senior year. So I just want them to remind them just to take a moment to relax and breathe, because this should be super exciting for them. They're thinking about their journey after high school. The third piece that I'd like to point out is Naviance. Naviance student was introduced to all freshmen. It is introduced to all freshmen during flight class. And sometimes students will, not use it as much going into their sophomore year. We've reminded students this year, as juniors especially, that Naviance is critical to the post-high school planning process. They will be using Naviance for many purposes, and resume, starting a resume, doing a college search, having a student and parent questionnaire filled out, and we will go in depth about with those tasks below. But Naviance is critical. So if they haven't started the habit of checking Naviance and logging into Naviance, now would definitely be the time. And there's a link here for instructions if they've forgotten their password, and they need to have a reminder of how to get back into their Naviance account. The fourth thing that we have reminded students to get started is, if they haven't not done so already, they may want to create a Life After High School email address. And this can be set up as a professional, appropriate email address, separate from their school email address, for all Life After High School information. They may have already started noticing that they're getting an influx of emails from colleges or programs reaching out to them, and that's only going to build up as they go into their senior year. So setting up a professional, appropriate, and separate email address will help them, their school email or their personal email, not be flooded with multiple emails coming in from college and universities. The next item I feel is really important. I know my colleagues do as well. Bookmarking these important websites on your internet browser. These are the websites that your student will be using frequently, especially going into their senior year. They'll be having to go onto them many times. Many times I'll have students come into my office and I'll say, oh, can we open up your Common App, or can we go into your Naviance? And they're trying to find and search for where to find the login for those pages. If they have these sites bookmarked, this will be another step in really making this process organized and just a little bit less time consuming. So some of the sites to bookmark that we've recommended is our school counseling site, which is what you're viewing right now. The Common Application, which is the application that they'll start in preparing themselves for their college applications going into their senior year. Naviance Student, which is what I just mentioned, that we will go in depth below on all the different pieces of Naviance that are really critical to the process. College Board, which is the PSAT, SAT, ACT.org, and then there's also fairtest.org. Fairtest.org is a website that lists the colleges that have gone test optional. And as you may know, and you may have heard more so during COVID, many schools have gone the test optional route. And so what that means is that, and they do mean it, they do not require an SAT or an ACT test as an admissions requirement. And so you'd be able to find those schools on fairtest.org. So as we scroll down below, I want to point out, and we have this last little piece listed here that says, after viewing this seminar, email your counselor to set up a meeting. So as we go into the spring, and as we're rolling out this junior seminar and we're having today's webinar, we encourage your students to reach out to us to set up a junior meeting. However, we also encourage them to complete 1 through 7 of the tasks below. And I will go through the different tasks below. But most importantly, tasks 1 through 7, if they were to complete that prior to reaching out to us and meeting with us, it would be really helpful in making their junior meeting very personalized and very productive, so that we can gather a lot of information for them that will help us help them in going through their post-high school planning process. So we've shared that information with them. So as we go through the junior seminar tasks below, Mrs. Porco, Jacqueline Porco, will be helping me, and we will go through each of the individual tasks. So with that, I would like to introduce Jacqueline Porco to help me with the tasks.
Good afternoon, everybody. And as you're seeing, we have number 1 is update your ECP. And that ECP is also known as the Educational Career Plan. And all students started this in 9th grade. They also viewed this recently with their school counselor during course registration. Updates were made, questions were asked. So every 10, 11, and 12 at this point as it relates to today should know exactly where they stand as it relates to graduation. And that this ECP is an organized roadmap to graduation courses and credit requirements. And we partner with each student as they fill this out, update it, and are always here to answer any questions that they may have. And then we move on to number 2, standardized testing. Hopefully many of you attended the admissions testing evening that was on February 3rd. If you are unable to make it, we do have the webinar posted on our school counseling Google site under announcements and events. So if you're seeing your screen, you'll see that tab above complete the following, announcement and events, and you'll hit that recordings of past events, and you can see the information that was provided that evening. More information and links to the College Board ACT and FAIR tests can be found at this link as well. And as Jen said, many schools have continued to change their standardized testing requirement. We get updated daily for the 22-23 application year. We encourage using that FAIR test website. And we also encourage the students to really go to the school's website to see all about their test policy. Often, you may find that a school is test optional from looking at that FAIR test document, which can be overwhelming because there are so many schools. And then when you go to the website, you see that it's test optional unless you are applying to this major, unless you have a 3.0 or below. So you just want to take a peek, and everyone should be really looking at every school's website anyways, since they do plan to apply. And then number 3, we have create a resume. Hopefully many of our students have started this through their junior year English class. And we do have, in Naviance Student, we do have a resume builder in there, but we also can accept a resume right on a Google Doc. And sometimes the formatting, you start it and you come back and the formatting, gets a little mixed up. So that Naviance resume builder is great. The form's always the same. You just log right in and add. It formats it for you. You can print it out. So we encourage that template, and of course, we'll accept the Google Doc. We just want the students to be doing it on something they're most comfortable with. And that resume is important for many reasons during the post-high school planning process. Teachers and counselors will want to receive a resume to recommend the student to their university college. And then also a resume will be extremely helpful when they're required to list their activities on applications. And of course, they may need it for future employment or applying to certain committees, activities, or scholarships. And the big piece with this resume and completing it now, these 1 through 7s, if they get completed and you meet with your counselor after it, the process is going to go so much more smooth, and you really are going to lessen a lot of the stress to the tedious tasks. So on this resume, you just want to make sure that it's 9 to the present. And this will allow for your student next year to sit, and when they get to the activities section, just place it in. We see here a lot of stress around that activities section. And students will be advised by us in the fall of their senior year about the activities that schools are looking for.
So moving on to task number 4, start your post-high school questionnaire in Naviance. And there's a link here for more information. The post-high school questionnaire on Naviance is to be filled out by the students, like their student questionnaire. And it's extremely helpful for the school counselor to receive this information, because this focuses on their interests and their distinctive qualities and their strengths and their goals and so on. And this information supports us when we're completing a recommendation on their behalf. It's found in Naviance. There's a link there for more information. And again, pointing out, just like the resume, if they come to see us and this piece is completed prior to our junior meeting, it brings another layer of information, I love to take that student questionnaire, the post high school questionnaire, and have a layer of an interview, an additional interview while I'm going through it with them, so I can gather even more information from what they're sharing with me. And that really helps me, but in turn, it helps your student, because now I'm able to write a recommendation based on the information that they are sharing that is different than what their teacher is going to say about them, or different from what the admissions rep is going to see on their transcript or on their resume. I'm going to provide a layer that is more of a distinctive quality of your student. So that's why we really highly recommend that they do their student questionnaire, post-high school questionnaire, prior to meeting with us. The fifth task is optional. However, it is really, it's a really great piece that has been added to the post-high school planning process, and it's to submit a video or audio, 1 to 3 minutes long, and we've asked the students to answer the question, what makes you stand out as an applicant? And we have them send their video to their school counselor via email, and only the school counselor will view the video. But it's really great to hear their answers, especially, most colleges today aren't doing the interview process. So it's what they would want to say to an admissions rep if they had that opportunity, and they can share it with us, so we can use what they believe makes them stand out as an applicant, and we can use that within our recommendation as well. Number 6 is the parent and guardian questionnaire. So this is a really important piece, probably one of my favorites, and I'm sure other counselors would agree as well. For students, sometimes it's really hard to boast or express pride or brag about themselves, right? So this is the place where parents can do that for them. And so the parent guardian questionnaire is also located on Naviance, and there's a link here for more information. And it's an opportunity for you as parents to give us your view, your thoughts on your child's qualities and their interests and their goals and what they've accomplished. And sometimes we find that we get more from the parent and guardian than the student, and that's okay. We get it. It's hard for an adolescent to kind of brag about themselves, and this is kind of considered the bragging sheet. And again, this helps us in completing a recommendation on their behalf.
Okay, and next you will see complete the AchieveWorks personality and career cluster finder. And these will help students, they're quick assessments, and they help students declare their personality type, and then fit them to best career options. And what's nice about it too is you get the careers, and then you will be able to learn the different majors to get to that career. And then within those majors, you can see the classes that you more than likely would be asked to take, and then every school in the country that offers that major. So it's a great tool, and we would like our students to have that complete. And next we have our post-high school options. We know that there's a lot more than just college out there, and we have international programs. There are trade schools. Many are choosing a gap year. That's increased incredibly due to the pandemic, and actually has done a wonderful job of erasing the stigma attached to a gap year. I think a lot of students have done it, and parents have found how much growth they've seen in their student, and the student themselves seeing the growth, and they didn't realize how much more ready they are to access their 4-year degree. We also have students who would like to join the military, and we have provided these links with more information on each area. So an example in Naviance is that you do have the opportunity to do a college search, and there will be instructions on how to do that. There's a super match search on Naviance as well. And what's nice about the super match is it gets very detailed as far as what your student would like for in a college. So here we are under colleges, super match. And So when you get specific, it will align you with colleges based off of your unweighted GPA that's listed in Naviance. And if there are scores, it will do that. The other nice thing too, it will tell you what it doesn't have from your search. And so 100% will have everything, tells you if it's a match, and then you see the 88 and the 75, so you can see what it doesn't have that you wanted. And oftentimes you're going to find schools in here that are reputable, excellent, great schools that are not on your radar. So I think it's not a secret tool, but I don't think it's used enough. So get on in there, see what comes up for your student. We also encourage for your students to visit the College and Career Resource Center, and you will email Mrs. Collins. You'll just set up an appointment, and you can explore a lot of the resources that are in there, and she'll help you do that. And she'll also help you complete a college search, and show you trade school options. She'll go over military requirements, scholarship information, standardized testing options. So, you would click on the link to learn more about the College and Career Resource Center that is located at the end of the counseling hallway. So the Career Resource Center is at the end of the counseling hallway. And then the link here, just so you can become familiar.
So our task number 10 recommends that students explore college-specific events. The best way, and you may have heard more and more over the past years, that the best thing, one of the things that students can do that has been like the newer thing, is to demonstrate your interest in a school. So a way that students can market themselves is to attend events that these colleges or these programs are offering. So going on a campus tour, going on or a virtual tour. Some of their websites have created incredible virtual tours. That's one thing that has improved through the pandemic. These colleges have come up with just beautiful virtual tours that are 360-degree views that you can really get a glimpse. Not as much as being on that campus, but really wonderful tours. You can chat with an admissions counselor directly from the website. You can chat with current students. You can go to a rep visit, which we host here at Wilton High School. Anything that you can do, student can do, that demonstrates their interest in the school to the college rep is going to be beneficial to them. One thing I'd like to just share is that when I say rep visits, this past year in the fall, we had many colleges at our high school doing rep visits. Some were virtual, some were in person. Hopefully going forward, we'll have more of that, or most of them coming in person. But students are able to locate on their Naviance, their the college visits. Here right now, we don't have any scheduled right now, but they also will see that on the page. This is a demo student, Mary Demo, and so this is her Naviance page. But on your student's Naviance page, under what's new on the home page, that is where they will be able to locate next year any schools that have signed up that are coming to see us as a rep visit. And if they decide they like that school, and I would advise, if there's a school that they're not sure of, but it's kind of on their list, I would advise them to sign up for that rep visit, because if it's someplace they end up applying to, it's pretty much like having a one-on-one interview or just an interview with that rep visit, because you're like face to face with them, and they remember that. And when they look at a student's application, they will look to see how many times that student has demonstrated interest in their school. Have they gone to a rep visit? Have they signed up for an info session? Have they done a campus tour? Have they visited our website? Have they reached out to us and chatted with us? All of those things really do matter, because and the reason being is that there's such an increase in the number of applicants applying to school. I'm sure that you've heard this year of, students. If you haven't, the number of students applying has been incrementally increased for each university. And the way that admission reps can gauge if you are genuinely interested and you are possibly going to take that spot is they look to see how interested you were, how much effort, how much time did you put into researching their university, their school. So anything that you can do to put yourself in front of the school, especially if it's a school that a student really enjoys and really is interested in and really is on their list, is going to benefit them. What I will want to point out though, and I didn't say this before, Naviance is a student platform. I have parents who have asked, do I have a parent login account? There is no parent login account, but you can definitely ask your child, your student, if you can log in with them. And especially when you have to do the parent guardian questionnaire, you will need to go through your student's login account in order to complete it, and just ask them to get you in for them, and then you can do your parent questionnaire. Number 11 is the classroom teacher recommendations for college applications. Most schools, almost all that I'm aware of, but most schools require 2 teacher recommendation and 1 counselor recommendation. We recommend, in terms of the teacher recommendations, that you pick a teacher from the humanities, which is the English and social studies, and the STEM area, which is the math and the science. However, if a student is really interested in this particular subject area, just say all STEM, or has had more, their strengths are within STEM, and they don't feel like they can choose both a STEM and humanities, it's okay for them to choose a math and a science, or going in, just choose from one area, their English and their social studies. That's okay. The most important piece of this is that they want to choose the teachers that know them the best, that really are going to speak to their academic ability, that they know will be, that they have a good relationship with, that will write a letter that really makes them stand out as an applicant. That's what they really want to be looking for in terms of their recommendations. And of course, as counselors, we write a recommendation letter for each of our students. So we will definitely be doing that regardless. So they don't have to worry about that. The Common Application, familiarize yourself with that. There are over 900 colleges, universities that accept Common App for admissions. And so we recommend students start their application by August 1st is when the Common App goes live. And what that means is that for their senior class, their senior year, the August prior to their senior year, Common App will go live, and the individual universities and colleges will post their specific questions and their specific supplemental essays. But that doesn't mean that students can't start now and start early in getting prepared and organized for starting their Common Application. Creating an account, collecting all their information. Jacqueline Porco pointed out before when she said the resume. If they have their resume that includes everything from 9th grade year all the way through their senior year, if they have that created already, that is just going to be an easy tool for them to use that information and input it into the activity section on Common App. There's also here there's the application link here, but there's this short document. What is the Common App? That is an article that is for first-time users of the Common Application. I really like this article particularly because it really goes through all the specific information that you need, and you can get organized and prepared now so that when you're ready to fill out the Common App, it will be there you have all that information already to share and to put onto the Common Application. Going on.
Okay, and before we head into step 13, Jen made a very good point in that these students are going to have so many options, and a really popular tool also found on Naviance Student is the Scattergrams. So as you're in your Naviance Students account, anytime you're interested in a school, you're going to want to list it in the colleges I'm thinking about. And what's great about this is you get it in there and you can scroll over to more. So we have any one of these here, and when you click on Scattergram, is very exciting. Okay. And up's going to come a graph, and it's going to use SAT or ACT scores and unweighted GPA. It's going to place your student on this graph and compare you to Wilton High School students that have applied to that school in the past. And what's also great is, as you see, there are some red X's without a box, red X's with a box, and if Jen scrolls down a little bit, you'll be able to see a chart that tells you exactly what all of those mean. And one awesome piece about this junior seminar is that students do these tasks, and then because they're doing these tasks on their own and they have all this information at the tip of their fingers, really, it allows us as counselors to have meetings with students that are very unique to them. And for example, we on our side can see the rigor of those green checks, the rigor of the X's, and ultimately better guide based off of your students' list. So that seems to be a popular tool, and you can see why, and as counselors we use it quite a bit as well. So I just wanted to expand on that. And then for student athletes who plan to compete at the Division I, Division II level, we want you to read these instructions just to complete the eligibility process. And now a lot of times, if you are being recruited, the coach will remind you about becoming NCAA eligible. And this link will just get you right to that page, and your student will set up an account. We will see it on our side and send the transcript. And one piece I want to remind everybody is your student's always going to be ineligible until they complete high school. Because, for example, a fourth year of English, they're not going to know you completed that until we send your transcript at the end of the school year. So we have been encouraging students and families, let your school counselor know if this is a plan. And with you, we can make sure you're taking the appropriate classes. And the biggest thing is no credit loss. You do not want to see any credit loss. That will put you behind the 8 ball. And the next piece we have here is if you're planning for an admissions interview, whether in person, virtual, we posted this video with helpful information about what to expect, how to present, what to wear. So that's a super helpful tip. And we also remind our students that these admissions officers are people just like us. They love their school, and they're really there to get to know you and to see if your personality fits their school. And then we also have scholarship search, and you can click on that link for more information. We recommend that students view this list that was offered. It's offered to this year's seniors, and make a note of which ones they might qualify for. Note that not all scholarships are offered each year, but we do encourage our students to just make a weekly habit of logging into Naviance and moving through any posted scholarships to see if they qualify for any of them. And then, of course, we do mention fastweb.com and collegeboard.com as it relates to scholarships throughout the country. One of the main reasons why we have you set up a separate email is because once you sign up through some of those companies, you will get inundated with emails, which you could miss one, or you could miss another email having nothing to do with scholarships just because you're getting so many. So that's another great reason to set up your own email. And before closing, one piece that we are noticing as school counselors helping with the post-high school process is the pandemic has created for an incredible increase in applications to schools. And I think one of the pieces that we saw this year because of that was a lot of deferments. And I do think it's because of two reasons. One, they got so many and they couldn't get to them all. And two, everyone looked similar. So they really had to dig to find what of those students they wanted representing their school. So using these tools are really going to help put your student in a place that is appropriate.
So to wrap up in the junior task section, so you see we just gone through the 15 tasks, which are also on the checklist. I just want to share again that we've reminded your students to work through 1 through 7 prior to meeting with us so we can have a more personalized and productive junior meeting. And, you know, and I've met with some of my juniors recently and I've said, well, you've already done the ECP because we've done that during our course registration. So that's something you can immediately check off your checklist. Some students have a plan for standardized testing that can be checked off. Some of them have a resume. So they really don't have that many more tasks to complete prior, you know, to meeting with us. So that's just another thing just to keep them organized and they can see, and seeing that on that checklist, you know, for some of them, they were like, oh yeah, that makes sense. That's good. Like, I feel like I've done a lot already. And it kind of makes them feel good. So it takes away that stress when they can kind of cross things off and say, okay, yeah, I'm on the right track. On the bottom of the page, we have here just important additional info. One being the sharing, we have the flyer for the rep visits at Wilton High School. Just, you know, again, instructions on how you can find out where to go to sign up for the college visits. Again, like I shared in Naviance, just the main page, the beginning of next year, you will see, we'll just start having a running list. And if they register on Naviance for the rep visits, they will be excused. They will not be marked as, you know, as it will be an unexcused absence from that class period when they go to the College and Career Resource Center to meet with the rep that will be attending. So this is super important. A couple of other last things that we just want to remind students is checking college-specific websites. I know we've said that multiple times for up-to-date admissions information. You know, again, check college-specific websites because you want to know the up-to-date admissions and information, but also because you want to be able to show that you're demonstrating your interest. Possibly you want to find that chat link so you can chat directly with an admission rep. So it's really important that the students get very comfortable going on to the individual college websites. We also have here to review virtual college events in Naviance student. So there's instructions here, but they can search the virtual college events directly through Naviance, and sometimes through each individual school, they'll have an info session or a virtual college event. Again, another way to demonstrate your interest and put yourself out there and put your name in front of them, that you are taking the time to, you know, research their school because it is on your list, and there's a possibility you may be wanting to attend there, and that all helps. Lastly, at the end of the page, we have the current events. Like we pointed out on the site, we have here the past events, recordings of past events. Anything that we would have as current events happening would be also listed under announcements and events. Recordings of past events, we had a panel of colleges come visit in October of this year. They provided great information about updates because of COVID. So if you haven't had the chance to see that, go back and view that recorded events. And then just a link here to additional internet resources that will help your students as they embark on their post-high school endeavor and this journey, which should be very exciting. And we are very excited to work with them as we go into the spring and we start having our junior meetings. Please feel free to reach out to us if you have questions. We love hearing from the students because we think that as juniors, especially they're preparing to go off to college, we want them to be self-advocates. So we want them to reach out to us if they have questions about the process. But if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us as well. There's no silly questions. Some parents, you know, some of you here today, this is your first go at this. This is your first go around. This is your first student going off to college. And so there's questions that you may have that are different than a parent that's here that is their last student. Maybe it's their third or fourth child going off to college, but things have changed and you may have questions as well. So there's no silly questions. Please feel free to reach out. We know this is a lot of information, but again, we want to share this with you in a very structured and organized approach. So hopefully to relieve some of the stress going into the post-high school planning process. And so with that, we do have a moderator. One of our school counselors will be viewing the Q&A and seeing if there's any questions that we maybe have missed or that you have, would like answers to, that we can address right now in the time that we have left. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen.
Thanks, Jen.
Yeah, and Matt Rosen will be moderating our questions.
So we do have a couple questions coming in. The first one is for you. For a student who is not at Wilton High School for 9th or 10th grade, what does that mean for their ECP?
So for a student who's transferred in terms of their ECP, we still use their transcripts from their previous schools, and we will take a look at that and plug it into their ECPs for 9th and 10th grade. So if a student came in 11th grade, transferred in, if they took English and world history, that would all still be plugged into their ECP. If they had a fine art or an applied art, we would take that into consideration into their ECP. Now, sometimes they're missing certain classes. Maybe they didn't take adolescent health. And so those are things that then we'd have to think about making up in their junior or senior year or speaking with administration about. But we do take those classes from their prior high school, and we fit it into their graduation plan.
Great, thank you. Jacqueline, this question is for you. Can a student ask for 2 teacher letters of recommendation and then choose, or I'm sorry, more than 2 teacher letters of recommendation and then choose which ones to submit to certain colleges? And then as a follow-up, do teachers give the recommendation to the student or do they submit it directly to the college?
So I'm going to answer this a little bit in reverse. 99.9% of recommendations are sent directly to the institution. And parents and guardians, you're going to want to have that happen because they become much more valid. Admissions really looks at recommendations that perhaps students or families have looked at as perhaps maybe not so valid. So just plain and simple, directly to the institution. And it's due to that validity. We have great students, and people are not writing recommendations for students that they don't want to recommend. So these are great letters, they're informative. So you don't have to worry about anything being in there that would put your student at a disadvantage. And then you can ask more than 2 teachers. And when we talk to school admissions officers, they want what they require. So if the school requires 1 teacher recommendation, we recommend sending 1. If they require 2, we recommend sending 2. And then there are people outside of school that you may want to have write a letter of recommendation. There is a spot in the Common App called Other Recommender, where that person's email will go in, and you'll send them the invite, and then they write it and upload themselves. And there are criteria for that Other Recommender, which is very clear on the Common App. And some schools do not take an Other Recommender. So it's really important to read, to look at what the school requires. I do not encourage sending anything to a school that they're not requesting.
Great, thanks. Jacqueline, coming back to you again for this one. If a school is listed to be sent an SAT score from the March test, and the option is to send all scores is selected, will those schools receive future test scores or just the one taken?
So they will be just taking, the one that they took. And anything after won't get automatically sent. Each time you sit, the only way for them to be sent is for you to log in with a student, to log into the College Board account and send them. So just a reminder, we don't send test scores. Only the student sends test scores. The only way the student can send test scores is by logging into College Board and selecting the test scores that they want. And again, schools are going to have different requirements, and a lot of them are showing a lot of flexibility because of everything that's going on. And obviously you don't want to submit anything if it's not enriching your application. If you're unsure if it is or not, that's why we have school counselors. We're here to help and we can advise.
Jen, the next question is for you. Should students initiate their junior meetings with their counselor?
Yes, they should. That would be fabulous for them to reach out to us, be a self-advocate, view the video, complete the task that we've asked them to do, and then reach out to us to say, hi, Ms. Bonella, I completed the student questionnaire and I have my resume and I'd love to meet with you to schedule my junior meeting. And we can set up a time that works with their schedule and not taking them out of class time. And so, yes, that's a great question, and that would be wonderful to hear from your students.
Okay. Jacqueline, coming back to you, should students or parents schedule additional SAT dates now? It says the testing webinar recommended March, June, and August dates. What would you recommend?
Okay, so some of these recommendations might have come at the height of COVID, where test sites were filling up very quickly. So that could play a part in that recommendation. The other piece too is I think it's important for all of us to know that there's not a lot of data to support a third sitting and as it relates to an increase in score. So I always recommend at least 2 sittings, unless of course they sit for that first time and they knock it out of the ballpark. And then, depending on which test that you want to take. So they're all sitting for a March in-house SAT. So the March College Board one, the national one, I would not take. You're getting a free exam here. And then June, it's right near finals. And August is August. Your brain is just off. So you make the decisions that are best for your child. So if you feel that they're going to be ready for a June or August and having finals or the projects or anything like that, it's not going to interfere by all means. I personally would like to see the March SAT and then a fall SAT.
Okay. Next question for you, Jen. Where can parents access the junior seminar checklist? Maybe you can share your screen again and show that to them as well.
Absolutely. Hopefully I share this screen. Let me see. There we go. Okay. So this is the school counseling site. This is the junior seminar page. Again, it's under, you can locate it under juniors, and there's a tab. You can see this, if you're seeing this, there's a junior seminar tab under the juniors tab. And right in the first paragraph, I'll open it up again. There is the link to the junior seminar checklist. Make a copy. They can save on their laptop, print it out, post it on the board at home, put it on the fridge, anything to just kind of keep them in check and just have them, on task, on target, working through. That would be great.
Jen, one more for you. Do you submit information or put information into the ECP, or does the student do that with you?
So the ECP was created in flight class during freshman year. So all of the students actually created their own ECP in freshman year during flight. And that was one of their activities that they did, was to start their education career plan. And then they, it was either shared with us, the 10 through 12 counselors, by their freshman counselor, or some of us have asked the students to go on to their Google Drive and find their ECP and then share it with us. I know I've heard, Matt Rosen, I've heard him ask his students to share it. So they have their ECP on their computer because they're the ones who started it and created it. And then we can work together and we input it. I know during course registration, we all reviewed our ECPs with our students. We made sure that, what's on their transcript was on their ECP, so that they knew that it was mapped out through into their senior year, that they had all their credits, all their courses needed for graduation.
And Jacqueline, what types of information should parents include in the parent questionnaire?
Everything that's awesome about their kid. This is a wonderful chance for parents and guardians to brag. Just brag. We are the only ones reading it. We want you to. We don't want to miss anything. You've got great kids. So we want that to come through in your parent questionnaire. If in fact that parent questionnaire doesn't align, like the questions don't prompt some things that you want us to know, send us an email. This is in addition to the parent questionnaire. The more, the better. And actually, when I'm recommending students, this is my favorite part, is reading the feedback from the parents and guardians. And I'm not gonna lie, I think this year I probably teared up 3 times because of the way that our parents and guardians speak of their children. So we read every single one. It's a great opportunity for you to be an appropriate part of their application process.
Jen, how are we doing on time?
1 minute.
So we are at 1 minute left. So do we have other questions that we might have to put into an FAQ?
No, the last one was just about finding a link to the school counseling website.
Oh.
Where can parents find that?
So the link, so you can get, you can either get it through the Wilton High School page under school counseling, and it'll say right under, where it lists all the information under school counseling, it'll say school counseling site. So you can go right through there from the Wilton High School page. You can also get it. Where else could you possibly get it? Jacqueline, do you know?
You can sit with your student and they can log into their Schoology junior seminar course.
Right.
The link is there. And then also, hopefully you've exchanged at least one email with us about your student. So you can bring up that email, and the link is in our signature part as well. It's been there for, I think, 3 or 4 years at this point. So if you just scroll down and you'll see our name, school counselor, you'll see that school counseling Google site link. And listen, if you can't find it, just shoot us an email and we'll pop it right in an email back. It's too good of a tool to not be using. So not a problem if you're having difficulty finding it.
So yeah, so I think that was it for questions. Actually, it looks like there were a couple more to come in at the end. Just thanking us for the presentation. It was extremely helpful. So
that's so great to hear. Well, we thank you all for being here with us today, whether you're coming in from your car or your lunch break or your home, wherever you're coming in to visit and stay with us today to be a part of this presentation. We really appreciate that you took the time to be with us. Please reach out for any questions, and we wish you a great day. Take care, everyone.